Okay, so one of the first things that we want to do is to be able to animate our characters, objects, whatever, in a way that will be easy for us to create keys on. And to do that, what we're going to need to do is rig our objects or characters or whatever we're going to have. Right now, I have a pinwheel, and it's currently made up of stick, stick one and stick two. There is also a sphere, a blade, another blade, and finally another blade. So it's a very simple object. And what I want to do is be able to have this thing bend and then also have the propellers kind of swing around, the blades swing around there. So um, what we're going to do is we are going to organize um, this into uh, kind of like a character. So um, there's going to be one main directory, our one main folder, and then underneath that we're going to have our geometry. This is going to be a simple rig, so we aren't actually going to get into like bones or constraints or anything like that. We're just going to use a hierarchy system to be able to get this pinwheel to animate. Okay. Generally, you don't generally animate on geometry. Usually, you'll create control rigs like NURBS circles, and you'll grab those circles and then animate those around. But in this case, I'm going to try and keep it simple, keep it very easy for you to understand and get the hang of. Okay. So, first thing that I want to do is to take a look at where these things are rotating from. So I just selected it, pressing F and moving around. I'm holding my Alt and my left mouse button. And which reminds me, let me see if I can put this up. There we go. So now you can see what I'm clicking there. Okay, so when I select this and I press W here, you can see that the center pivot of this object is currently here. So if I were to rotate it, so pressing E and then clicking on this and rotating it, this is going to rotate from the center. And that's not where I want it to rotate from. I actually want it to rotate from the bottom so I can have it pivot. And then from the next one above it, I want that to be able to pivot back and forth. So I'm going to need to change where the pivot point is on this thing. So to change that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press W. Um, I am going to tap D once. So I'm just pressing down, hitting D. And now I'm going to slide this down. The act of pressing D down allows you um, to temporarily change it so you can move the pivot point here. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I want it to snap to the center of this of these edges here. So to do that, I am now going to hold the V key. So I'm holding the V key down, and you can see that when I hold the V key down, it changes the center of that pivot point. What that is telling me, and you can also see up here that it highlights this little magnet button. That little magnet button, what that's doing is it's going to say, by holding V, is that we're going to snap to vertices. So if I hold V, click in the center of this, click and hold, and then drag it down to that you'll see that it just kind of magnetizes and sticks to that vertice. Now I can press D to get out of moving my pivot point. And now that pivot point is at the bottom. So that is going to give us much better animation in here. All right. And now I just need to do it to the next one. Now, with this next one, you can see that we're kind of like in the way and we can't see what's going on here. So a good way to get um, this kind of soloed by itself is to select this little button up here. Zoom in on it. This is the isolate select button. So click on that button while selecting while you have the middle part selected. What that'll do is it'll just hide everything else temporarily so that we can just work with this. Okay, so I'm going to press W again. I'm going to press, I'm going to tap the D key. So that puts us in this temporary moving. Then I'm going to press and hold the V key, and I'm clicking and just dragging down to the center pivot point, and then pressing D again. That will give us, um, that will get this back into regular moving mode. Now, if I want to get back to my stuff, I can click on this box, and that will bring all of the things back together. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for this last one. I'm gonna hide everything else. Gonna press F to focus on it. Now I'm going to press D, hold V, grab it from the center, left mouse click and drag down. And I didn't give myself enough space, but I ended up managing to get that in the center. So that worked out. I'm gonna press D again to get out of that mode, and then press the little button there. So now what this does for us is that if I select all three of these, if I click and hold shift while clicking and then hold shift while clicking again, now if I press the E key, that's going to give me my rotate tool. I can click and drag, and now these are rotating from the bottom. Okay. But what we'll notice is that as these are rotating from the bottom, they're not moving like I thought they would be, right? I want them to be able to kind of flow as they go up. I don't want them just like turning in place. So the reason for that is because each one is not affecting the other one. So if I take this stick 2, and I'm just going to move this over a little bit, and I'll move my stick over here a little bit. And then I'm just going to zoom in. Okay. Then what I want to do here is I want to make this stick 2 a child of stick 1, meaning that there's a thing called parent-child relationship, and that parent-child relationship means that if the parent moves or scales or rotates, the child is going to move along with it. It's going to scale or rotate with it, and that's currently only with like physical parenting. Like I'm actually going to attach the two things together. Their hierarchies, the way these are organized, are going to change a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to middle mouse click and drag this up to stick 1. You can see we get a little plus icon here. If I click that open, now we can see this is the parent, and then underneath that is the child. And you can see that it's kind of indented a little bit. So with that indent, that's showing me that if I rotate stick 1 now, I'll move this over. So if I select stick 1 and I shift select stick 2 and then click on rotate, now you can see that stick 1 is affecting what stick 2 is doing. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to have that do the same thing for our base stick. So I'm going to click on stick 1. You can control click if you're working in the outliner. That's what this this window is on the side. It's called the outliner. If you're working in the outliner, you have to hold control while you're selecting something else. If you're working in the viewport, it's shift. Why that is, can't say for sure. Maybe somebody out there will know. But what I want to do is I want to, if I select both of those, I can also use the P key. And you'll watch as I click on P, those stick together. And if I open this, you can see that I have stick 1 here. And if I open it again, we can see stick 2. So it's this hierarchy, this chain of events going on right there. You also might have noticed that when I opened this, I just got to stick 1. Now, sometimes depending on how many things you have, if you have a lot of stuff there, if you hold shift and then left click, it will open up all of them. It will open up the entire list. If you just click on the list, then it will just do the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. Okay. So that's just an added little thing there for you to be able to open things a little bit faster. Okay. So getting back to our little stick here, if I now deselect everything, I'm going to select my base. Now, since I'm in the bottom, or since I'm in the this other window, the viewport window, I'm going to hold shift to select the next thing. There's stick one, hold shift again, stick two. And now if I rotate that, now it should all rotate together. And that's kind of like what I was expecting. Okay. So we just need to nest things and just get them organized in a little bit of a better way. So just set those. I'm hitting Control Z to undo those. Just undoing back. I want to keep my hierarchy here, but I'm just undoing back so that it is straight again. Okay. Looking at these, looking good. What I'm looking for on these is just making sure that right now everything is set to 0. So if I were to animate something and I wanted to get back to the default pose, I could select all these and get those back to the default pose. So like if I get these rotated like that, I'm like, oh no, I want to switch all those. I could just left click and drag and select all those at 0, and then it will straighten things back up. Okay, then we have the ball. So our sphere here. With this sphere, what I want to do is, or what I want to have happen is I want these blades to rotate with it. Right now, if I select it, it's not taking any of the blades with it. So we're going to do the same type of thing. We're going to organize these in hierarchy. Now with this, I don't need to order them um, like blade one is a parent is a child of blade two, or blade two is a child of blade three. I don't have to do any of that. Really, what I need to do is just take all of these and make them children of um the P sphere one, or the polygon sphere. So by selecting these, I selected blade, shift selected. I did say you didn't have to or you should use control. And that's if you're selecting something that's above. So like if I have a list of things, like these aren't broken up, and I just want to select all those, I can use shift and it will select everything in between those two. If I have like blade and then I just want to select blade one, I have to use control, and then that will allow me to individually select things. So that's just another way to select things. So I'm going to select blade one, shift select blade and blade one, and then it selects everything in the middle. Now what I'm going to do is middle mouse click and drag it on top of sphere one. When I click it on sphere one, now you can see that all of these are the same kind of, it's like having quadruplets. They're all the same age. They're all the same child in the hierarchy there. Okay. So now I can select my sphere and everything should rotate with that. Okay. Then what I want to do is now I have my sphere one, and I want to have my sphere one be affected by the stick. When stick two moves, I want that sphere to also move with it. So I'm going to middle mouse click and drag onto sphere two, and it's going to bring all of those children in. I'm going to click on there. You can see now we have this nested hierarchy. So I should be able to come back here, select my base stick, stick one, stick two, and then I can rotate these, and now we can see that our pinwheel is moving around in there. Okay. Now you might have seen me kind of playing around with this, trying to figure out what the rotations are. These are just different rotation orders. So there's a world rotation, there's an object rotation, there's gimbal rotation. That's more than what this class is going to be about. So all I did is just change this to object. I could have changed it to world. It was in gimbal. So all I'm doing is holding E and left mouse clicking. And that's giving me this. So I just put it on object mode and now I'm able to rotate this around. Okay, so we have created that. Now what we want to do, so this is all of the components of our pinwheel. What I want to do is I actually want to make like a pinwheel character. I want to organize this in a way so that the name Pinwheel is at the top. So what I'm going to do is select stick. I'm going to do a Control G. I'm going to group that. Basically, it's grouping it to itself, or it's taking all that stuff and putting it into a group. And we just need to rename that. So I'm going to double click on that and call this Pinwheel. And if I hold shift, left mouse click, I have Pinwheel, stick, and now this thing is organized in such a way that if I needed to minimize this, I could do that. Okay, so now for animating. To be able to animate this, there's a nice little feature here under workspaces. If you click on that down under animation, what that'll do is it'll bring up this window here. So you can animate on. So this is the graph editor. The graph editor is where you'll be editing or making your animation changes in here. So if I wanted to set an animation key, just starting out, we haven't done anything to this yet, but if I wanted to set an animation key um, on this bottom stick, I'm going to press S, and what that will do is it will set a key on all of these attributes in here. That's every single one if you press S. If you look down here, you'll also see, move the timeline, you can see that there are some keys that were made here. There's one here. There's also another couple here and another one here. Those keys, if I back out, you can see them a little bit better. And those keys are essentially just like the start. Now, everything that's at one, those are going to be those scale keys. These over here, you can see that we have a rotation a rotation in Z of 0. So this is actually going to zero these out, make sure there's no rotation in it. There we go. And also make sure that my timeline is set back to 1. And now I'm going to set this again. There we go, set back to 0. There we go. Now my keys are set. Now, you might notice that in the bottom corner here, there's this red button. Yours is probably off. And that is going to cover that up. Wait a second. That little button is the auto keyer. So that auto key means that if there is a key already on my thing right now, there is, that when I make a move the next time, it will automatically put a key down. If I don't do that, and if I go to frame like 6 and I'll say, okay, it's frame 6, I want to rotate it. E is the rotation tool. If I click and drag, you can see that there's no new keys that have been made here. If I wanted to set a key, I would either have to press S, and that will set some keys here, and you'll see that this thing went, very high. If I want to get that back, I could just hit A, and that will show all of my keys there. F, if you have some selected, F will also do the same type of thing. But so I'm holding Alt and middle mouse clicking and dragging that around. So I can press S and that will set a key on everything again. You can see that there's more keys down here at 0, even though nothing has changed. I set that at 0. If I want to delete these, I select those and hit delete, and then come over and turn on my auto key. And now if I make that same rotation, like that, now you can see another key has been made, but this time just by doing the movement. You'll also notice that there's red on the Z. That's indicating that there is a key currently at that spot. Everything else is kind of like this kind of rose pink color. That pink color is showing that there are keys on these attributes, but not currently at this timeline. So now if I move my timeline to 10 and I rotate this, now you'll see that it will make another key. But again, still hasn't made other keys. If I want to key everything, I can press S, and that will put all of the keys on there. All of these turn red. So if I go back to this middle, to frame 6, you can see it's only showing one key on frame 6 on the Z axis, and all of the frames are on frame 1 and all of the frames on frame 2. So if you want to see um, individual rotations or translations attributes, you can click on each one of these and it will show you their attribute. Now, right now, we haven't translated anything, so we're just going to see everything be flatline there. But once we start getting into rotation, we look at rotate Z, and that will show us our rotation. Now, if I didn't want this to go as far, say I wanted it to not go, if I select it over here, it'll show me in the stats, it'll show me that this is frame 6, and it's currently at a rotation of 36.56. If I wanted to make that an even 36, I could just highlight this and type 36. I could also go into here and type 36. Now, this is only changing because it's changing the key because I have the auto key on. If you didn't have that on, then if I moved my animation, if I shut this off and say maybe I wanted this at 35, it will yeah, actually it will make the change here. It won't auto change, it'll auto key. Um it won't it will auto key, sorry. It will auto key if we're just grabbing the object and moving it. Um right now it's off, so nothing is happening down here. But if we're directly affecting the key, it will go and modify the key that's being changed. Okay. What else did I want to show? If I wanted to, so this is currently at 35. If I wanted this to go equally to the other side, like 35, then I would just have to put in here that it's going to be a minus 35 and hit enter. And now this is going from 0, 35 to 35. And then I'll set it back to 0. And you can see nothing was keyed because I didn't have auto key on. But I could give this a little wiggle, set this back to 0, and now you can see that it'll create that key. The other way that I could have created that key is to set this back to 0, right mouse click on the attribute and do key selected. And now it sets it at a key at 0. Okay. Actually, I think I'll set this at something like that. It's a little more again. Okay. So if I wanted to rotate this so that everything rotates together, I'm just gonna select both of these, this one and, I'm going to select stick 1 and stick 2. I'm going to set these at 0. I'm going to key them, pressing S at 0. And then I'm going to go to frame 6, and I'm just going to click and rotate those over. We're going to bend it over a lot. And then I think to here, we're going to bend that way. We'll do for here. I think my rotation, yeah, is on object. So I'm just going to reset my rotation tool. There we go. So this gets rotated at 6. At 0, it's straight. 6 is bent. 12 is going to bend that way. There we go. And then 16 is going to go back to 0. And I'm going to set a key on the last one as well, just to kind of lock it down there. Okay, now you can see that it's kind of off. I do like the offset, but if I was specifically trying to get these to match up with my first one, you can see that the keys here aren't quite matching up. I had keys at 11 and not at 12. So if I wanted to take these and move them down, I could select those, shift, middle mouse click, and then drag them down one. Now you can see that they're all lined up on 12. Okay. Generally, though, you would want to offset those. So like this stick 1 and stick 2, generally I would want to offset those maybe by a frame, and then I'll take stick 2 and then offset those by one more frame. So they're each oops, I went the wrong way. Sorry about that. I want to go the opposite way. I want to have them delayed here. I have that right. So what happens when you go off script? So I'm just pulling those down, going down to the next one, and dragging that a little further. There we go. So now what's happening is we're getting this overlapping action. So it's kind of floating by. So when the bottom part stops, then the next part moves, and then the tip finally rolls. So it's like the energy is moving up from the bottom and transferring out through the top. And then we get to the end and it straightens back up. Okay, so we have that working well. Now what I want to do is get our little pinwheel spinning. So I'm going to set a key on the pinwheel there. And we set to 16. So I'll just have this do a couple turns. We'll go that way with it. And it's probably going to be too fast, would be my guess, that it's spinning so fast that we aren't really seeing it. So I'm going to take that and we'll just lower that down a little bit. Yeah, if I select one of these, we'll be able to see it spin. See it rotating around. So if I hold Alt and period, it will step me through one frame at a time. So we can see that our pinwheel. So it starts to rotate, starts to rotate, starts to rotate. So that blade now moves to here. Now it's moving fast to that one, then up, and around and around. And then finally, now if I want to hit play on this, you can see that it's moving really fast, right? Um, it's probably not as fast as what you might be seeing because I have it in real time. So what generally happens is Maya has it set at the default playback speed. So I'm just right mouse clicking on the timeline, going to playback speed, and every frame, that is usually the way that Maya defaults in here. So you'll see something that goes really fast. If it's going really fast, just change this, right mouse click, do playback speed, um, do playback speed, and do real time. And then it should play what would normally be. Now, if I wanted to slow this whole thing down, say it's going too fast, I can select everything and I can use this multi retime tool. If I click on that retime tool and double click here and then double click on the end, I can grab it from the little kind of fat part in the middle and drag these down. And you can see that it's going to scale this stuff. Now, whenever you scale, if you want to get out of this tool, hit W and then go to edit, go to select unsnapped. These are keys that are not in a frame, and then do edit and then snap, and those will snap onto whole frames. Maya 2024 has this new feature that you can see frames that are or keys that are not on whole frames. That's what Maya renders out, is on whole frames. So if it's on a whole frame, it will be solid. If it's on a like in between frames, it'll be dashed. So just want to do edit and then snap, and now they're on whole frames. And I could then play this. There we go. And that's how you can rescale your stuff. All right. I hope that helps, and let me know if you have any questions.